what are you looking for? That's a common question. Why do you need to know what that person is looking for on a first date? Think about it. It's such a stereotypical, boring question to ask somebody, and it means you're being lazy.
Thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. Once again, I'm so happy to welcome back April Beyer, the relationship and dating expert, matchmaker for over 20 years, and the founder of Level Connections. April, thanks for being here again.
Oh, thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, we have a great topic that I think is going to go over really well today. How do you become more memorable? How do you leave someone wanting more? You definitely are the expert in this. So let's talk about that. You wrote an article about how to stand out, especially on a first date if you want to get that second date.
I think this is probably, of all the topics you and I've discussed, I think this is
Mhm.
probably my favorite but I don't think people understand that creating memory and a memorable experience is the key to getting second dates, is the key to creating that feeling of like, I want more from this person. I want to see
Mhm.
them again, which then creates
Mhm.
more expediency to get to that second date. We look at second
Mm.
dates as if I impress this person and I show them all of the fabulous things about me, they're going to ask me out again. Or if I look
Mhm.
amazing. No, we fall in love with people when we fall in love with who we are when we're with them.
Mm.
So how you create memory in someone is very layered and it's very nuanced and it's not a trick. It
Mhm.
just requires profound authenticity
Mhm.
and courage. A lot of times we talk about courage and leaving somebody with enough about you, but they still want more. So today,
Mhm.
I think we're talking about this fine line between we don't want to create mystery, we don't want to hold back, and we don't want to share and tell all either. So, what is this sort of middle ground? And I think that's what we're diving into. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you referenced what got my attention is the thinking versus feeling questions that we have to get good at how we ask questions, how we handle ourselves on that date. Let's dive into that. That's so important.
People believe, falsely so, that
Mhm.
asking somebody a myriad of questions is
Mhm.
the expediter of getting involved or not.
Mhm.
But what happens is when you go to a date and you have a list of questions that you think are keeping you safe and sound, all you're doing is pushing someone away from you. So when you're asking thinking questions like, when did you get a divorce? Tell me more about your business. Where do you office? Where do you
Mhm.
travel? These are like thinking questions. And what
Mhm.
happens is people are going to just give you what? Information. Information never inspires anything or anyone. Feeling does. So these lists of questions that people think that are their sort of armor for a date. Well, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to ask this person all these questions to qualify them.
Mhm.
You are not creating connection when you're qualifying. You have to figure out a way to qualify people through a different pattern and a different thought and a different behavior so that
Mhm.
A, not only do you receive the truth, and I say receive the truth, which is
Mhm.
different because it's more
Mhm.
inspired, but you also are, in effect, kind of vetting and qualifying in the most organic,
Mhm.
beautiful way. It's what I do with my clients. I
Mhm.
don't ask my clients thinking questions. I sit down with them and I might be talking about college, where they went to
Mhm.
school or where they did their undergrad or their grad
Mhm.
program. And then I'm now on a trail of talking about their father. Like, ooh, who inspired you to go down that route? Now I'm talking about their
Mhm.
father. Second later, I'm talking about, oh, did your dad teach you how to sail when you were a kid? What was that
Mhm.
like? Do you miss those days? So I might be talking about
Mhm.
a million different things that have nothing to do with a woman. And I'm learning his values,
Mhm.
what lights him up, what makes him happy, what brings him sadness, what's a hardship for him. And then I'm writing those things down, right? So there is an art to this. And again, it's not a trick, it's not magic. It's about going in with genuine care for someone. So if we're asking the thinking questions that are more factual,
Mhm.
All you're going to get are facts, right? So whatever you put out, your output is going to be what you're getting back, which is just more information.
Mhm.
And you're keeping someone in their head, which is where they've been all day. So then
Mhm.
you're not a diversion of the day. You don't feel different from the pattern that they've already
Mhm.
been in all day. And the women and men, by the way, that succeed on dates are the ones that ask feeling questions.
So I want to get more into that, some examples, because the way, well, I mean, I'm pretty good at talking with people, but when you were saying that, I'm thinking, well, how could I do that? How would I structure that? I mean, you could ask maybe one thinking question, but then listen to the answer and then go into feeling? Am I making it more complicated than it needs to be, or overthinking it?
Mm, Not at all. You want to role play? Let's do an example. Like, what would be
Okay.
to you a thinking question?
Well, so April, tell me about your company.
Okay, my company, it's personal matchmaking company. I work with marriage-minded, successful, educated men, and I'm consistently doing coaching with my clients and vetting and qualifying for them on their behalf, introducing them to incredible women, following them through their dates. Now, what else do you want to know? Like, what did you learn about
Yeah.
me with
Yeah.
me just telling you the information of my company?
The way I would follow up, of course, is, wow, you're a matchmaker. Well, how did you get into that? Then you go into well, what was that like? What has been your best? Tell me just one of the great stories. You must have tons of stories, April. Tell me so I mean, that for me is going into the feeling part. Is that correct?
No.
No.
No, it's going to make me
Perfect.
tell no, it's going to make me tell you more story. So
Okay.
when someone asks me, in fact, I used to say to people when I did interviews, please stop asking me how I got started because I got started in my late 20s. Like it was a lifetime ago. So that person doesn't even exist anymore, right?
Okay.
The reasons why I got into this in the beginning are not even the reasons why I'm still here. So I think it would be much more important with if someone were to say to me, if I were on a date with a man, let's say I wasn't
Hmm.
married and I was on a date with a man and he asked me all about my company. How did you get started? A good 30 minutes is going to go by of
Hmm.
me talking about my business and which company I worked with first and what were my success stories. Nothing is telling you about my heart, my character,
Hmm.
how I think
Hmm.
or I think and feel. But if someone says, what is, what do you've been doing this a long time. What do you still love about it, April?
Mm. Okay.
And what's the hardest part of doing what you do? Is there any part of your career that you don't love anymore? Or
Hmm.
is there anything you want to do going forward? Or what have you learned about people through the work that you've done of creating
Hmm.
couples for so many years and advising
Hmm.
people? That all of a sudden, I'm going to become a different person. I'm going to start telling you about
Okay.
my father and the design of connection within my family. You're going to start to learn April's character and soul like in 5 minutes. You're going to
Hmm.
get me and you're going
Hmm.
to feel something with me. We're both going to have an experience. And then I can relate it and ping it back to you and say, I remember, Silke, you told me something about your dad that kind of reminded me of mine. Now we're not talking about our careers anymore. We're talking about something that's got more gravitas, more pull, more dimension.
That's a great example. I'm glad that we went there. Let's
Mhm.
stay there. What are some
Okay.
other examples that somebody can really identify with?
Okay, so a lot of people are dating in an efficiency model, right? They want to go on
Mm.
that date and they're going on that date to get information, to find out if this person is qualified for them
Mhm.
or to see if this person is interested in them. That's the wrong
Mhm.
intention of a date. And
Mhm.
so they're not having this beautiful, delightful experience. So let's say you're on a date and you've been separated for a while or divorced or single for quite some time and you're feeling ready
Mhm.
and you meet someone that's divorced. What is the first question people ask on a date or within a dating app about divorce? What do you think is the first question?
Well, probably how long have you been divorced?
Exactly. Okay.
Yay, I got
So,
one right.
yay, ding, 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 ding. You get a prize. Uh, so, Silke, if I were to say, let's say I got a divorce, and you want to know more about me, how would you ask me about that?
How did that feel? I would probably go to, oh, so you've been divorced, so like, so, well, what was the hardest part about that?
Well,
Is that okay?
it's good. I mean, you could get there. But I think most people start with how long have you been divorced? Because we think that asking a heady question like that is going to give us an answer of how ready this person is. But
Okay.
that's not what gives you the readiness. Somebody could be divorced 10 years and still not be ready. Somebody could be
Mhm.
divorced for a second and they could be ready, right?
Yeah. Right.
So if someone said how, I was married and divorced, I might find out later how long it's been. I might say, what is life, what does it look like now as a single person after so many years? Or how have the kids been since then? How have
Okay.
you been? When I meet a man and he says, I'm divorced, he's so used to somebody saying, how long have you been divorced? How long have you
Mhm.
been divorced? And
Mhm.
it brings up all kinds of feelings in people. Nobody wants to explain themselves to you. Nobody wants to go back into that part of their brain that's only a memory of pain and suffering.
Mhm.
It's not a point of connection. So I don't ask questions that just give me information. There's always time for information. But on
Mhm.
a first date, all I want to do is connect. So someone tells me he's divorced, I'm going to lean in and say, how have you been?
Okay.
How are you? It's caring, it's honest, and it tells me everything I need to know because he's going to start, or she will begin to reveal and share openly and honestly because I'm not there to qualify. I'm
Mhm.
caring about somebody. And when we show we care, genuinely care about someone, they get to sit back and relax and not be on the defense
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
think an expediter of the truth, if you will. But it
Yeah.
has to come from genuine care. I can't give somebody a prescription for questions to ask because maybe it doesn't come up. You don't want to force a question and you don't want to do it because I did it. You're not going to do it in my tone because that's my personality. It might not work for you, right? But that's how I personally do it. It's how I did it as a single woman for many, many years before I met my husband. And it's what I do with my clients. I go
Mhm.
there first, right?
Mhm. So if divorced, how long have you been divorced is the most common question that comes up. Let's go with the common ones because maybe that way people could snap themselves out of it if they
Yeah,
realize what it
okay.
is. What's another one? Maybe the second one or, another one that comes up a lot that you really don't want to go there.
Another one, if we're going to relate to divorce, it's, why did you get a divorce? I would stay away from that. I want to know, I don't need to know the outcome of the marriage. I'd love to know, what do you miss the most about being married?
Hmm.
What drew you two
Mhm.
together in the first place? I don't have to know why they got a divorce. If I
Okay.
say, what drew you two together 25 years ago? That
Mhm.
person is going to probably light up. They're going to say, well, when we met, this is where we were, or we were both kids, when we were in college, or whatever that is. And so you start to kind of go down a different journey and you're getting the holistic experience of someone, not just, well, she did, I did. Right? Again, because you're putting somebody in a negative space and you're asking them to recall bad memories,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
There's plenty of time to find out that other stuff. It's not meant for a first date, but you
Mhm.
can do this in a very potent and yet light way. Another thing is, what are you looking for? That's a common question.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you looking for?
That's a tough one.
Why do you need to know what that person is looking for on a first date? Think
Mhm.
about it. Why is it
Mhm.
so important? What do I care? All I
Mhm.
care about is if I'm there to connect with you and learn about
Mhm.
you and just have that first date experience,
Mhm.
you telling me what you're looking for is either going to light me up because it's me, or I'm going to be devastated because you just described somebody completely different from me, right? Like, why ask that? It's such a stereotypical, boring question to ask somebody, and it means you're being lazy because
Mhm.
you can find out what someone is looking for through this other tapestry of feeling questions and learning about their childhood and what drew them to their partner in the first place and how their kids are doing and how their business is doing. I've never said to a client, what are you looking for? I
Mhm.
have to ask because sometimes my clients will think I'm not doing my job unless I ask, but I honestly never write it down because it
Mhm.
doesn't end up being what we find anyway. Because sometimes I know more than the client. Sometimes people only know what they know. They don't know what's possible, so they don't know how to ask for it. They
Mhm.
don't know their own blind spots. They don't know their own strengths. They just know, like, here's what I want from a superficial perspective. Oh, I want
Mhm.
somebody who skis. If I
Yeah.
had listened or asked my husband what he wanted, I would have bowed out because at the time he was a big skier. He was a marathon runner. I don't even run to the
Mhm.
mailbox. I would have disqualified myself instantly, right?
I love this conversation because and I hope that this is happening for our viewers too, because in my head, things are popping up like my first conversations with Paul. And I
Mm,
think I actually did that right, even though I didn't get it right here in our discussion. But we did. I mean,
yeah.
we look back on that and it's just such a great feeling that was created. That, I mean, everything you said just makes so much sense. We're starting to run out of time here. I want to make sure that we hit one other question here. We did just finished another segment on knowing if a man is ready, if you're ready to date again. And that's obviously something that people do want to find out. And you had a question here, I wonder if this fits here, that to find out if he's ready or she's ready to be in a serious relationship, the question is, what was your longest relationship? Is that still true?
That's a good one. I again, that's a fact-finding question that I have to ask in my work, but it's basically the door, it's the knock at the door. It doesn't always tell me everything I need to know because sometimes somebody's longest relationship was their biggest mistake. Sometimes the longest relationship was the one that they couldn't get themselves out of. They couldn't extricate themselves from that relationship. It gives me information, but I don't know if it inspires memory. And today we're talking about how to get them to want that second
Right,
time with you, how to leave them wanting more. If
right.
our intention of a date is, I'm going to go learn about somebody new and I'm going to go connect with them, regardless of
Hmm.
whether we're right for each other or not, all of this stuff will come naturally. However, on the flip, if you think a date is, I'm going to go qualify this person, I'm going to go find out if they're right for me, and I hope that they like me too, your behavior will be inauthentic, your questions will fall flat, and you will not leave anybody wanting more. So, what was your longest relationship? Would I ask that on a date? No, because I'm
Okay.
not inspiring emotion in anybody.
Yeah, there's so much we have to rethink. Especially like you said, throw those lists out. And this is a really interesting conversation because it gets you to thinking a lot deeper than maybe some people want to. And how do you become memorable? And it is absolutely is through feeling. How does this person make me feel? How do I feel in their presence?
It's creating a feeling. Yeah, that's all that it is create a feeling in someone, take them back to something that is tender and beautiful in their life, see them, recognize them, give a well-deserved compliment, not an authentic one. That recall, when someone
Mhm.
says, wow, like when I get a call from a man and he says, April, that date was incredible. It was a 6 hour date. I'm speechless. I woke up literally out of a dead sleep thinking of her. Often, when I go back and I say, what did you all have in common? What did you talk about? He can't
Mhm.
remember. They cannot remember what they talked about. They only remember how they felt.
Great way to end our segment today. April, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I please everybody, leave your questions, leave your comments because you can inspire us to do other topics. So April, as usual, I will link to all of your information. Please look for the link to April's company, Level Connections. And April, just briefly tell us how else can they find you?
Find me through Level Connections. Women are invited to complete a complimentary application and profile with us. Men can contact us through the website as well to talk about a search. And I love it when people contact me on Instagram. I'm there quite a bit, April__Beyer. Feel free to send me a DM and say hello.
April, thank you. And I look forward to our next conversation on Second Act TV.